Taming Python. Decision making. If, elif, and else keywords.
Hello viewers, welcome to the second session of Python programming. In the previous session we learnt about Python basics. We discovered about variables, constants, and the basic structure of the Python programs. Now in this session we will go a little deeper. We'll look into something called decision making. How do we take decisions in our programs, and how, depending on the decision, the course of the program changes. If you see, in real life also we are presented with a situation where we constantly take decisions. If that is the situation, I will do this, otherwise that. Similarly, in Python programs also, or in any programming language for that matter, generally when you are solving the problem, you come across various situations, the values of the variables, the scenarios where you check the situation, and accordingly your program will take this course or that course. So in this session, let us learn what is decision making and how do we implement decision making in Python programs.
Let's begin understanding decision making with this simple program first. As you see, line 9 and line 13 are using if keywords which are being used for decision making. These are called decision making constructs. As you see, balls played and runs made in line 5, these are the two variables which are initialized with value 0. How they are initialized? See, a comma separated list of variables equal to comma separated values. Now, if we focus on line 9 is using if keyword followed by a condition. A condition is something which evaluates something, it evaluates or compares some values, and a condition always returns either true or false. If the evaluation is true, true is returned, otherwise false is returned. How evaluation is done? That is done by the help of relational operator. Like we see here, relational operator less than is comparing whether balls played, the value entered by the user in line 7. See, line 7 is using input function. So it is checking balls played less than 0. If you notice line 10 and 11, they are indented towards right side and they fall below if block. So indentation denotes which lines are the part of if block and which lines are not the part of if block. As you see the second if block, in the second if block also line 14 and 15 belong to this if, and line 17, if you notice, is not the part of any of the two ifs because it is not indented. So let's focus back on understanding how if is working. If you see line 9, the balls played variable is being compared being less than 0. So suppose user enters -1. In that case, this condition will return true because -1 is less than 0. If you focus on line 13, here we are checking whether balls played is greater than maximum overs multiplied by the number of balls in 1 over. If you see at the top, line 2 and 3, maximum overs and over size is 20 and 6 respectively. That makes 120 if you multiply them. So if user enters any value which is more than 120, we will do something. So if according to line 9, if user is entering any value for balls played which is less than 0, that will obviously be some negative value. Then we will do something, that is that something is going in line 10 and 11. And if balls played is going well beyond the possible number of balls, that is maximum is 120. So if value is going beyond 120, we will do something which is mentioned in line 14 and 15. So what we are doing actually is we are displaying appropriate messages and we are resetting the variable balls played back to 0. Notice line 10 and 14, they are displaying messages accordingly and balls played variable is being set to 0. Finally, the values are being displayed in line 17. Let's have a look at the relational or comparison operators which are being used, which are actually used for comparing the values while taking decisions with if construct. The operators are like this. These are the symbols which represent the operators: less than, greater than, equal to sign. Equal to sign is double equal to actually. Single equal to is used for initialization. So double equal to is reserved for checking the equality of the two values. Then other combinations are there: less than equal to, greater than or equal to, and finally not equal to. Exclamation sign equal to is not equal to. So these are the possible comparison combinations which can be checked by the help of corresponding relational or comparison operator. So now we have the understanding of basic if functioning, how if works. If checks with the condition given with it, and if the condition is returning true, that if block is executed. Now the question is, if that condition is returning false, what should happen? There must be some otherwise case. Well, such otherwise case is handled by else keyword. As you see here in line 9, if balls played is greater than 0, well and good. If that is true, suppose if user is entering 10, the if condition will be true, and in that case the how many runs have been made by the player, that value is also being accepted by the user. See line 10. If balls played is greater than 0, that means user has definitely played some balls, so runs made is also being input by the user. But suppose balls played is 0 or balls played is negative value. In that case, line 9, balls played greater than 0 will be returning false, and if will fail. In that case, else will execute, and accordingly, line 12 and 13 will execute. So they will print an appropriate message, and balls played variable will be reset to 0. The other if is working as usual. So here we have to focus on understanding if and else part in line 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is how else works. Let us execute it and let us see what is the output. So here we enter the value 12 and 8 perfectly well. 12 was played, runs made 8. Let us run it again. If you are going to enter any value, say number of balls played is 0. So in that case, there is no question of having runs made accepted from the user. So this is how this is being handled by else block, as you see here. So if we enter how many balls played, that is 250, more than 120 that is, and it is saying too many balls played. Now if we enter the number of balls as 250, this is well beyond the limit, that is 120. Then notice that it should not accept for the runs made. If balls are beyond 120, that is invalid number of balls, then it should simply say too many balls and it should not accept the runs made by the player. Let us see how do we handle it. There is something called elif. Let us have a look at elif now. So let us see what changes do we make in the program and how do we handle that situation using elif keyword. So watch carefully what changes are being made. Then we will understand how those changes are changing the flow of the affecting the flow of the program. So you see what we are doing is if balls played is less than 0, that is negative, then we are displaying an appropriate message in line 10 and we are resetting balls played to 0. So first of all we are handling if 0 balls is played. So we're using elif keyword. Elif keyword is the combination of else and if. So in case the condition with if returns false, see line number 9, balls played less than 0. If this condition is returning false, player that means no negative value is there. In that case, elif will execute line 12. Now in elif again a condition is being checked. If balls played is more than 0, that is if player has really played certain balls, then it is valid to ask for runs being made. So how many balls did this player play? Suppose 0 is there. Now this is handled. So 0 balls played is being handled here. If 0 balls is there, there is no question of asking for how many runs are being made. For 5 balls there are 2 runs being made. Quite natural. Let us run it again. If balls played is -9, that is being handled. Let us run again. How many balls did this player play? 0 balls. Working fine. So now my program is handling 0 balls played. No question of asking for how many runs. So that is being taken care of by elif. Well beyond 120, again an invalid number of balls. Still it is asking for how many runs being played. So this is yet to be handled. So we have handled if user has played 0 balls, program will not ask for how many runs made. But here, if I'm entering 200 balls, this is also invalid. Still it is asking for how many runs made. So this has to be handled now. So let us go back to our program and let us see what changes we are yet to make to handle this situation. So the problem lies somewhere here. So you see, step by step we are enhancing our program and see how elif was used. Now let us see what all changes we make. I am taking this condition and bringing it here. Watch carefully what changes are being made. This entire if block, all the statements here, okay, just 2 statements, they are being copied and placed here. Appropriate message is being displayed, and we are using another elif. See how this is being done now. So if number of balls played is more than 0, it will ask for runs made. So I have 2 elif now. If now here if balls played is less than 0, appropriate error message is being displayed. Elif line 12, if balls played is beyond the possible limit, that is 120, appropriate message is being displayed. and balls played is reset to 0. And if balls played, if it is greater than 0, that is the second elif. That means if the player has really played certain balls, then we are asking for how many runs the player has made. So this is how it is working now. So notice here how the elif keyword is being used to check further conditions. So you can have any number of elifs depending on the complexity of the problem which you are solving with a program. And finally, one possibility is left, that is being handled by else keyword here now. What is it? Just have a careful look here. We're displaying player has played 0 balls. Why? Because after all the possible conditions, what is left is only the 0 balls. So the program is well structured now. Let us check it out. All possible conditions are taken care of. The balls played beyond the limit, the balls number of balls negative value, the actually if user has played certain balls, then the runs made are asked, and the fourth possibility is that the player has not played any ball at all. So all the invalid number of balls are handled, and the valid number of balls played are also handled in our program appropriately. And see how this is being done by the help of if, elif, and else keywords. So this is how we do decision making in our programs, stepwise and in a very logical way. We have to think and we have to handle each and every situation one by one. And you have to test run your program many times by entering all the possible values, and by analyzing the output you have to decide how the situations have to be handled, how the conditions have to be checked. So this is the final shape of the program. Let us check how many balls did this player play. 5. Fine. 6 run made. That's a very ideal situation, a normal situation. Let us run it again. How many balls did this player play? A negative value, handled. An error message is displayed, and no question of asking for how many runs made. Let us run the third time. Invalid value, it is not asking for runs now. Let us run once again. No balls played, that is number of balls played is 0. In that case, there is no question of asking for how many runs made. So all the situations, all the possible situations are being handled in the program, and this is how our program is working perfectly well now, thanks to if, elif, and else. So this is how if keyword works, and this is how we perform decision making in our programs, as you see here. Now look at another program here. This is again a simple program. I have taken the first version of the program. There are two ifs, line 9 and line 13. They're checking for negative value of the ball played and the invalid well beyond 120, the value of balls played. Now these conditions are being checked by two ifs. Let us see how do we check more than one condition with one if block. So with one if keyword, you can have multiple conditions checked. And how is it possible? It is possible by the help of the operators called logical operators. Let us see how do we use logical operators to check multiple conditions. So line 13 has one condition and line 9 has one condition. So here we are changing our program to decision making with the help of logical operators. When there are multiple conditions, they need to be checked with logical operators. In a short while, we will see how. One condition is this, the second condition I am putting in its own brackets. So we have these two conditions separate, and both the conditions. Now, to display the message invalid number of balls played, if any of these conditions is going to be returning true, that means I'm going to combine them with or logical operator. One of the logical operators is or, which checks for the conditions. If any of the condition is true, the if block will execute. So when I have multiple conditions in which any of the conditions is going to be true, I use or operator or logical operator. So if balls played is going to be negative or beyond the limit, if will execute. Let us check it out. How many balls did this player play? Negative value, handled. Invalid number of balls. Let's run it again. Now a value beyond the limits of 120, 200 balls. Again, it is handled. Invalid number of balls. So appropriate message is being displayed for both the invalid values for the balls. And see how OR operator is being used to check the conditions. And if the number of balls is appropriate, that is if number of balls played is neither negative nor it is beyond the limits. So now we can go for checking, asking for runs made by the player. So else part will execute when the number of balls played is neither negative nor beyond the limits. So we ask for runs made. See what else we are doing. So the only possibility left is if balls played is 0, then we will ask the user how can player make any run without playing any ball. So we are making the program a little interesting by asking the user in else how many runs made, and if actually the balls played was 0, then we are throwing a question to the user, how can a player make any run without playing a ball? So if balls played is 0 and runs made is more than 0, that is not possible. So here you see how AND keyword is being used. AND keyword will always be used when you need all the conditions to be true. So if balls played is 0 and as well as runs made is more than 0, then this question comes up, how can player make any run without playing a ball? So here AND logical operator is being used appropriately. Let us check this out. How many ball did this player play? Let us see what user enters here. 0. How many runs did this player make? 5. How can a player make any run without playing a ball? So this is just to show you how AND operator is taking care of both the conditions. How OR operator is checking the conditions in line 10. OR is working, OR's concept is that any of the conditions could be true. Then it will execute. Then the if will execute. But if block will execute in case of AND only if all the conditions are true. So this is a small demo to show you the usage of OR operator and AND operator. Both are logical operators, and this is how they are used to check multiple conditions. Now moving further, let us see what all changes now I am making here. I am accepting the balls played and runs made in the very beginning of the program. See line number 7 and 8. I am accepting both the values in the very beginning without checking them. I am first of all accepting them from the user. I don't know what user is going to enter here. And see now how I'm going to check those values for decision making further in the program. So what I'm going to check here is if balls played is 0 and runs made is 0. That is one possibility where player has not played any ball and has not made any runs. So that is one very unfortunate condition. No, he didn't get to play any balls and could not score any run also, poor guy. So here again to show you how AND operator is being used. Another situation. So AND operator always goes for checking all the conditions, they all have to be true. Then only if block will execute. So if all the conditions are true, this if block in line number 11 will execute and will display a simple message, poor guy, better luck next time, because he could not play any ball, could not score any run. So another demonstration of another situation where we can use AND logical operator. So we have seen OR logical operator and logical operator. Now let us have a look at another third logical operator. There are total three logical operators, and OR we have seen. The third one is NOT logical operator. NOT logical operator actually reverses the condition. If condition is returning true, it makes it false. If condition is returning false, it makes it true. So let's have a look at the usage of NOT operator, how it is being used. Watch carefully what I'm doing here in line 11. I'm saying if not balls played and not runs made. Let us see, both are 0. How it is working? If not balls played and not runs made, if you see how the not operator is being used. So balls played was 0, that was false. Not is converting it back to true. See the comment, 0 means false. So not 0 means not false, and not false translates to true. This is how it is working. And these both the conditions are still being combined with AND operator. So not operator always reverses the condition. If condition is returning false, it will make it true and vice versa. And here balls played and runs made are 0. 0 means false. So let us have a look at the logical operators OR and NOT. OR will always return true if any of the given multiple conditions is true. It will check the conditions. The moment it finds any condition true, it will not check any further conditions. AND operator is just reverse of it. It will return true only if all the given conditions are true. And it checks if any of the condition return false. It will not check any further conditions and will return false resultant value. Not operator will precede the condition and it will reverse the condition whatsoever it is. If the condition is false, not operator will make it true, otherwise false. So this is how logical operators work with decision making. Now we have clear understanding of logical operators. Let us see this last program, last example of this session. If you watch carefully, line 7 and 8 are accepting number of balls played and runs made from the user. And then come down to line 15. If you see, it's a complex condition given there, and so many AND operators and an OR operator is also used. So let us understand how to create compound conditions and what is the role, how the role of operators changes by the help of brackets in these conditions. Here what we are checking is we are displaying well played if the player has played at least 5 overs, that is 30 balls. Player has played 5 overs and made runs which are more than number of balls, that is more than 30, but he should at least have made 40 runs. So see the comment in line 11, at least 5 overs played and runs should be made more than the balls played, but at least 40 runs should be made, then well played message will be displayed. This is one condition. The other condition is irrespective of any other thing, any number of balls played or whatsoever, either user had, either player had hit a century or more. So see how we have checked this. If you see this condition, it's a compound condition which is combined with two AND operators. Notice the AND operators and see how the brackets have been placed so that these three conditions are evaluated together. All these three conditions have to be true because AND operator is being used, and of course that is the requirement of the program. The other condition, the other separate individual condition is runs made greater than or equal to 100. So this compound condition should be true, or there is a choice, or the century had been hit. Either of these two, this compound condition or the condition after OR operator, they should be true. Then the message well played will be displayed. So notice the use of operators first of all, and the use of brackets in the operators along with the in the conditions. This entire set now makes the complete conditional statement. So this is how you will create compound conditions depending on the requirement. You will use brackets to decide the precedence of the operators. The logical operators precedence is first of all not operator, followed by AND operator, and least is OR operator. So not operator, AND operator, and OR operator. This is the sequence of precedence. And you can change this precedence by appropriately placing the parenthesis or brackets in the condition. So here your session on understanding decision making using if, elif, and else comes to an end. You have seen how conditions are created, how complex conditions and compound conditions are made, what is the role of logical operators in evaluating multiple conditions. So we have learned all this. Now is the time. Now after the session, you have the basic understanding of this decision making and you are prepared to get on to learning more in Python. Watch out for next sessions. Thank you.